Good evening and welcome to Cosmopolitan Chamber of Commerce. My name is Eva Kennedy and I'm sitting in for Rhonda Stivers this evening. I am also your guest this evening, so you get the opportunity to listen to me for the next 20 or 25 minutes. And what I'm going to focus on tonight really is to share with you my journey with starting my own business and becoming an entrepreneur. But let me start out by saying, first of all, I worked in the corporate world for 29 years, and I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And when the cancer came back the second time within 5 years, I thought it was time for me to leave and really start to focus on what is my purpose, or to find a new purpose in life. What is it that I really wanted to do? So when I left the corporate organization, I gave myself permission to take 5 years off. Because I had been working for so long, I really didn't know who I was. I didn't know my strengths. I didn't know my weaknesses, other than that of performing on a job. So what I wanted to do was to take some time to really get to know me. And I believe in God, so I wanted to also take some time to understand the Word of God and try to seek a new purpose in my life. So after 5 years, I got stuck. I really didn't know what to do after that. So I spent some time soul searching, spent a lot of time praying, and I discovered coaching. What coaching allowed me to do is really to focus on myself, to help me with some my own internal issues that I was dealing with, and it allowed me to move forward. So I had established 5 goals for myself, and coaching really supported all of those goals. And I'll share my goals with you. My goals, first and foremost, is to have a relationship with God and have that relationship continue to grow. My second goal is to help other people. I've always been passionate about helping other people, so that was my second goal, to really focus and help other people. My third goal was and still is to continue my own self-development. I did not want to become stagnant. I wanted to continue to grow and to continue to evolve. My fourth goal is to establish relationships, old relationships and new relationships, to enhance some of the old ones, but also new relationships. And my fifth goal is to have a successful business. So coaching allowed me to do all of that. So I enrolled into a coaching school, CTI, which is the Coaches Training Institute, and I completed their core curriculum and their certification process. So now I'm thinking, wow, I'm ready to go. I've established my LLC, Eva M. Kennedy LLC. The name of my company is One Evolution. So I thought, wow, I'm really ready to go now. But what I didn't realize is how much work is involved in starting a business. I have learned so much, and it's been 2 years, and I still have a lot of learning to do. But one of the things about starting my business is it really helped me focus on what is my passion. So I had to give that a lot of thought. Now that I had established the coaching, I knew that that was my purpose in life, but the next step is how to go about approaching it. So I had to really think about what is my passion. And as I stated earlier, one of my passion is to help other people. So I started my coaching business, and I started trying to build the business by seeking out clients. One of the things I had to learn, and I'm still learning, so I'm still a newbie to a certain extent, but one of the things I had to learn is more specifically, who are my clients? Because clients is so broad, and if you really want to be successful in business, first and foremost, I would strongly recommend that you follow your passion, and then once you establish that business, who are your clients? And you really have to be very, very clear about that. And I have spent the last 2 years just redefining my clients. But what's important here, each step that I make, I have learned so much. So I have grown tremendously. And by growing, what it's allowed me to do is to tap into some of my own insecurities, which I think has been an amazing journey for me. So Two things so far: your passion and then determining who your clients are. So as a result of my passion to help other people, I developed a seminar, and I can honestly say this came as a result of me addressing my own insecurities. When I started working on my business plan, one of the things, as you know, if you're an entrepreneur, and if not, if you decide to start your own business, when you're working on your business plan, a couple of questions that are right up front, and that is, what is your mission and what is your vision? So as I thought about my vision, I knew I had a corporate background. I knew I achieved my coaching certifications, and I knew I wanted to help people. But what it really made me do also is to tap into one of my insecurities. I've always wanted to be a motivational speaker. Deep down, that was something that was so deep-seated that I was even fearful to even acknowledge it. So once I started looking at my business plan and looking at my mission and my vision, I wrote it down. Finally, I had the nerve to write it down, to become a highly effective, successful personal coach, motivational speaker, and author. Boom, I wrote it down. And what I've learned is once you open up and really tap into those insecurities and put it out into the universe grabs it and runs with it. So within 2 weeks after I wrote down my mission and vision statement, I ran into a person I had just met recently, and she said to me, she calls me woman of God. She said, "What have you been up to?" So I told her that I wanted to be a motivational speaker. So she said, "Great, I'll grab a few friends, and we'll meet on your friend's yacht, and you can be a motivational speaker. You can share some of your experience with them." So I walked away that day from her, and I started praying. What I didn't want to do is just stand up and talk to a group of people and tell them my story and then walk away. Because it has been my experience when I've gone to listen to motivational speakers, I'll listen to them and I get really excited and rah, rah, rah. And the moment I walk away or 2 days later, I have nothing to work with for me to focus on my own life. So I started praying about it, and as a result, what happened is that I run along the lake, I jog along the lake, and I came up with this seminar, and it's called Witness the Most Powerful You, 5 Fundamental Principles to Create and Live the Life You Desire. I said, wow, now that really taps into my passion because it allows me to coach, and it also helps me to help so many other individuals. And I was really thankful that I was able to develop this seminar. So, a couple of things so far. Number 1, make sure it's your passion. Number 2, make sure that you identify the clients that you want. So that is so, so important. Number 3, you have to come up with a financial plan as well. Like, what is the financial plan? How much money do you have for the business? What are you willing to do? That's the 3rd piece. And the 4th piece really is to market your business. And I think that's probably one of the most challenging pieces that I've met. And it's probably a challenging aspect for all entrepreneurs. And I am so thankful to be sitting here to have the opportunity to share my experience with you, because I can tell you sometimes it's very, very overwhelming, but I am grateful for the opportunity to be able to establish my own business and to help other people so much so that hopefully I'm offering a little bit of encouragement so that you won't give up. And I have someone here with me tonight that's also going to share his experience as an entrepreneur, and his name is Lennox Jackson. Lennox, thank you so much for being able to join me this evening. I truly appreciate seeing you. My pleasure. And I've been sitting here talking about my experience as an entrepreneur, and I'm a new entrepreneur, and I know you've been around and been doing business for a long time, so I am so grateful to have you here to share your experience. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm president and CEO of Urban Equities Incorporated, which is a real estate development and advisory service company. Founded in 1993. Over that 23-year history, we've been involved in helping to transform a lot of communities on the south side of Chicago.
Wow.
And so we take great pride in having made a contribution to making a difference in our communities.
Wow, that's awesome. So what did you do before starting your own business?
Well, let's see, I started my career after I left graduate school at Penn State University. I went to work in New York City, worked in One World Trade Center for the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. There I got introduced to airport real estate at both JFK and Newark International Airports. From there I came back home to Chicago, worked for what is now a non-existent company by the name of City Lands Corporation.
Okay.
And during that 3-year tenure, got introduced to the affordable rental housing market. And so in 1993, I decided to bite the bullet and launch my own company.
So what led to your decision to launch your own company?
Well, it was the idea of being creative.
Wow,
it was the
that's
idea of being able to not have boundaries. It was the idea of being able to do something that no one in my family had done up to that point. And so it was just the idea of saying, hey, let's take a risk on myself.
Wow, that is so powerful too. I love that because it really helps you to really focus on who you are and identify those strengths, and you have to really hold on to them when you start your own business.
You do,
too.
because there are some tough moments. You will hit some tough patches along the way.
So if you had to pick 3 characteristics to describe a successful entrepreneur, what would they be?
Being trusting in yourself, being committed, and understanding the meaning of deferred gratification.
Tell us a little bit about deferred gratification, because I'd like to hear more about that myself.
Well, you can't have it all. Oprah Winfrey once said, you can have everything, just not all at the same time. And so when it comes to business ownership, a person has to make a conscious decision to rearrange priorities. From time to time, that will mean not getting some of the things you may want. It may mean making some choices that others would perhaps cast doubt upon. It means sometimes taking an unpopular route, but trusting and believing that it's the best decision for the business.
Wow, that is so great. And you know what? I'm grateful for those words, because just starting a business, that is so appropriate for me to hear at this time. So thank you. So businesses are said to have multiple lives in their lifespan. Over your history, you know, are you able to tell us what some of your hallmark moments were or are in the life of Urban Equities?
Outstanding question. That one hits right in the center of my heart and mind. I would say the first 5 years of the company's life, it was tough going, trying to get some real meaningful traction, trying to generate some sustainable income, not only for the business, but for a newly developed family, which consisted of a wife and 2 children. So the first 5 years were tough. Then I would say years 6 through 10, you started to see some sustainable business activity. So much so that you were now able to plan and grow. I would say then something called the recession hit around 2007, 2008, right?
Yeah, we know about that.
And like so many other businesses around the globe, my company as well suffered a setback. And so from 2007, 2008 to about 2012, I was in the middle of trying to re-engineer, redo the business and take it in a new direction. So that was the beginning of really pivoting based upon some circumstances that were outside of my control. And so from 2012 to even today, I've been able to identify some new areas of opportunity to leverage and take advantage of the tough, lean years, but have positioned me. But that has all served as the ingredients necessary to position me to launch the business into a new direction. And then finally, I would say that I think the signs are suggesting that those companies that are able to kind of stay in the game long enough do get rewarded for those tough times.
Wow. Thank you so much for that also. Before you came in, I was explaining to the audience that I'm a coach, and I started a business a couple of years ago.
Yes,
but I may have to hire you to coach me on being an entrepreneur and starting your own business, especially some of the challenges in the first 5 years and what happens in the years to follow. So thank you so much. That is so helpful.
You're welcome.
So tell us about some of your successes.
Well, some of our successes include multiple housing developments, Bronzeville Point, which is in the Bronzeville community on King Drive and the 4400 block. On that same block, on the same side of the street, are some homes I built for my fraternity, which is Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity,
All right.
Incorporated. We then also did a joint venture effectively with St. Bernard Catholic Hospital in the East Englewood community, where we built 45 homes some years ago. Not too far from here on Roosevelt Road, we were one of the partners in the construction of what's now recognized as Roosevelt Square, Roosevelt and Racine. So I would say over the years we've been able to be engaged in a wide range of work, and it's been positive.
Right. You have a lot to be proud of, just what you just named and some of the work that you've been able to accomplish. So congratulations.
Thank you.
But I'd also want to ask you about failures, because I want our audience to know that sometimes with success comes failures. So maybe you can explain or share with us some of your failures.
If you haven't failed in business, you won't realize what success is. And so I've experienced that at various times through the life of the business. I would say one of the early on moments was in 1994, 95. I left my former employer, struck out on my own, thought things were set to launch a piece of business, and a few months out, it all went south.
Wow.
And then, of course, I learned that our first child, our son Cornell, was on the way.
Okay. Ooh,
and
timing.
So that just made for things to become even more interesting. And so upon his arrival, things were still sort of fledgling. And so I made a decision. I said, well, I'm going to be a responsible dad. And so I went ahead and took a job with UPS at the Hodgkins facility, where I worked 6 days a week, 7 p.m. to 2 a.m., unloading and loading trucks. Then I was right back up the next morning, going to my office for my business, and there, oftentimes taking naps on the floor in the middle of the day, but I was insistent on sticking with the business. And so I did that for several months just to put food on the table and keep the lights on. And then finally my wife insisted, this is killing you, you got to let it go.
Right.
And so that was another place where my faith sort of took hold, and I made a decision at that point to just throw all that I had into the business, and it just worked out from there.
Right. But, what I'm hearing also is that you did not get discouraged.
Well, I got discouraged along the way, Eva, but I would say that fortunately I didn't give up.
Give up. Okay.
I think that every business owner would tell you that along the way there are moments when you second guess yourself. There are moments when you question if you've made the right decision. But you have to believe, and that gets back to one of those words, those characteristics I mentioned earlier about trusting yourself. You have to believe that you've made the right decision.
Wow, thank you. So what are the biggest learnings you've taken away over the course of time?
Everything happens in its own time. No matter how much you plan, no matter how much you try to put all the pieces in place, things in the natural spiritual world happen all on their own. Right. However, opportunity always meets preparation. And so while oftentimes we're wondering what we should be doing, you have to actually visualize your success. You have to actually see the final destination for yourself. And once you achieve that, you're able to make those steps towards preparing for that moment. And believe it or not, once you put it into the atmosphere, It's just a matter of time that it actually starts to manifest. And when the opportunity presents itself, you're ready.
Right. I talk about that in my coaching business a little bit too, a preparation, being all in. You get to a point where there's no turning back.
Yes.
And you know that it will happen, you just don't know when.
Yes, you have to believe.
Yeah. So what's on the horizon for Urban Equity?
Well, we've got some great plans for this coming next spring. We're planning some housing development in the Bronzeville community. We're effectively saying we're returning to Bronzeville.
Awesome.
And we find great excitement about that because this is also the centennial of the Great Migration to the Bronzeville community. So we're excited to be a part of that. We're looking forward to, again, putting our signature on the Bronzeville of tomorrow. So we're looking forward to participating in some things in the Bronzeville community.
That's awesome. So, we just went through an election. And I have to ask, how do you expect the election of President-elect Trump to, how do you expect that to impact your business at all, and if so, how so?
I think consumer confidence is something that like so many other folks, I'm trying to keep a pulse on. I'm trying to really evaluate whether or not the consumer market is going to feel confident enough to purchase some of the homes that we're going to build next spring and summer. I think that from a lending standpoint, in terms of borrowing money, I'm keeping a close eye on whether or not the cost of money may become more expensive.
Right.
I think that it's just really just keeping an eye out on President-elect Trump's policy initiatives that he's promoting. And I think at the end of the day, though, Eva, I really believe that as a business owner, you have to find a way to overcome obstacles. No matter what Mr. Trump may put in place, there is always a crack of opportunity.
Right.
And you have to be diligent to identify what those are.
Yeah. So as a business owner, and being in business for 23 years, is it?
Yes.
What keeps you grounded?
Well, my relationship with Jesus Christ. I am a follower of Jesus Christ, therefore I'm a Christian. I can say that relationship has been key to me being able to keep it together.
Right, yeah.
To keep it together.
Wow, that is awesome. So within our last few minutes, I just want to make sure that you have the opportunity to reiterate to our audience some of the things that they really need to focus on when starting. I mean, you named a few at the beginning. So what is it that they should really focus on as they start a business, a new business, or even if they're in business and things aren't going so well, but to stay the course? What would be 2 or 3 things that you could leave our audience with that they could hold on to?
I would say, regardless if you're considering starting a new business, or you're currently in business for yourself, or you're now talking about growing to another level, recognize that don't do it for the money.
Okay.
Do not be motivated by financial concerns, because you will be disappointed for a while. Instead, have an overriding desire to do something special, to solve some problems, hopefully some meaningful problems. And if you can do that successfully, you will be financially rewarded.
Wow. I am so grateful for the opportunity to sit here with you. And I've learned some things because I've had some challenges over the last couple of years starting a business, and I'm in it. I won't give up, and you have just encouraged me. So thank you so much for being with us. Thank you for listening and tuning in to us tonight. We will see you next week. Closing out for the night, Eva Kennedy from the Cosmopolitan Chamber of Commerce. Thank you. Have a great night.